Hello, my name is Gregory Gillum. I've been a major gift fundraiser for over 30 years, working with nonprofit organizations all over the United States. I have headed up multi-million-dollar campaigns for churches, hospitals, and many other organizations like the Ronald McDonald House Charities, the YMCA, the LA Philharmonic, and Hollywood Bowl, and several private and public foundations. As most of you who have made this your career, I too can remember the very first time I fell in love with fundraising. I was 17 and I was asked to take part in a local YMCA's annual fund drive. I was part of a team and it was run by a very strong Christian woman. My goal was to raise $200. I was given a list of names and 4 weeks to do it, and it was tough, very tough. I felt like I was begging for money or asking for a handout. I even experienced some guilt when someone did give, thinking to myself that I was taking their gift away from another worthy cause, or that I was stealing someone else's piece of the pie. However, through that entire campaign, I was encouraged and guided through some very important principles. Principles that led me to realize that fundraising or development or advancement, or however you choose to call it, is more than just asking for money. Much, much more. It's not sales, it's faith. It has roots in biblical values. It's a ministry, and for me, it was a calling. It wasn't later on that I began to fundraise professionally, and I realized that not all development professionals approached fundraising the same way. Advancement is a highly competitive field, and there is a lot of cutthroating that goes on. Some will lie, cheat, twist the facts just to get that gift. And their actions are based in greed and pride and self-interest. I know several, even today, that are highly sought after and paid very, very well because they bring in the money. Mind you, at the risk of the organization's reputation and the donor's respect, but they get the job done. And in the end, it's the placement of that decimal point on the check that really matters, right? Wrong. Now, I can easily dismiss the unethical fundraiser. In any field, you will have those who approach their trade with deceit and dishonesty. Proverbs 4:19 tells us, "But the way of the wicked is like deep darkness. They do not know what makes them stumble." They view their work, their profession, as a means to get what they want. Whether it's admiration or wealth or attention or status, they live their professional life in direct opposition of Colossians 3:23, which tells us, "Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as working for the Lord, not for human masters." I see so many young professionals beginning their career with such approbation for these bigger-than-life experts. They begin to model their actions after what they perceive as the proven success plan. They need to understand, and we all need to understand, and take heart to what Proverbs 4:14 tells us. "Do not set foot on the path of the wicked, or walk in the way of evildoers." So, okay, we dismiss the unethical, evil fundraiser, okay? What about the professional who's in the middle of the road? What about the one who views fundraising as a necessary burden? That it's something we just have to do, even if it leaves a bad taste in our mouth and maybe makes us feel anxious or even dirty? What about the fundraisers who don't fully understand that when they sit down with a potential donor, it's not about asking for money or taking someone else's share. It's rather an opportunity to give that individual a chance to be blessed, to become part of something bigger than themselves. I have heard 100 times at fundraising conferences that people don't give to mission statements, they give because someone asked them to. And although there is some truth to that, I think we miss the bigger picture. Even Christians have a hard time seeing this bigger picture. After all, what's so different about Christians and the way we do our fundraising? I mean, isn't Christian fundraising nothing more than secular fundraising with some Bible verses thrown throughout our appeals? So the question is, what marks us distinctly as Christian fundraisers? Can being a Christian and using biblical principles and Christian values have a dramatic impact on the way we carry out our development work? Yes. Derek Baker, president of Dickerson, Baker & Associates, clearly outlines 3 distinct characteristics of the Christian fundraiser. The first is that the Christian fundraiser believes that fundraising is faith-based, not sales-based. God's people give to God's work as the Spirit of God leads them. We may agree with this in our hearts, but approach our work as though it's really all up to us. When we ask people to pray over their decision, we must be sincere in leaving the decision in God's hands. We must do our work well by making clear presentations and definitely ask for support, but we do not close the sale. God does. The second characteristic is that we believe that fundraising is transformational, not transactional. Derek says that if we ask our donors to make a transactional giving decision, we fail both our ministry and the kingdom of God. Asking supporters to give their money is different from asking them to give their heart. Our goal is not just more money, it's to raise up godly stewards to be rich toward God. Transactional gifts are here and gone. Christian fundraising is a function of God's work of transforming hearts and minds. The secret that is lost on so many fundraisers is this: if you take the time to participate in the transforming work God is doing in the lives of your supporters, their generosity will follow. The very best givers are those whose lives have been transformed and changed through the involvement in your organization. The third characteristic is that we view fundraising as a ministry and not as a means to an end. Derek goes on to say that too many see fundraising as the dirty work that must be endured in order that the real work can happen. Christian fundraising is not a means to an end, it's an end in itself. And many of us that wear different hats in our organization may feel that we are spending so much time fundraising that we can't do the ministry effectively. Derek makes us understand that is a common and deeply flawed concept. When we understand that fundraising is not a necessary evil, but rather a ministry of teaching and applying some of the most fundamental biblical stewardship principles in a way that leads to a spiritual transformation, then we will approach our supporters differently. We will assess our success differently, and you will never look at fundraising the same way again. I have spent the past 10 years studying and speaking with fundraisers all over the U.S. on this very subject. And there are powerful values and principles that can make your work as a fundraiser a ministry. What an honor it is to be able to sit down with someone as a function of God's work, of transforming their heart and their mind. Fundraising is not just changing the mission of your organization or ministry. It's changing the life of the donor. If you are called to fundraise, if you enjoy it, then you are called to ministry. I would love to have you join me and many other Christian fundraising professionals at ChristianFundraisingLab.com. And we're going to explore this wonderful world of fundraising and the place it has in our lives as a ministry. Thank you and God bless.